Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are joining. Thanks for taking your time on a Sunday to join this webinar. My name is Nanda Kumar, and I have my colleagues Rajesh, Mari, and Devyani. We are all counselors here, and we have been guiding students with the college admissions process for more than 5 years now. So, the topic for today's webinar is about parents' role in college admissions. And we will walk through the slides. I mean, we have a very small slide deck, handful of them. So we request you to feel free to ask questions or just type in your questions as we go through the webinar. We will try to answer them right away, or we will come back at the end of the webinar to answer it. So I'll just go to the presentation mode right now. Okay, so the topic for today's webinar is about what is a parent's role in the college admissions process of a student. I think without saying it goes that parents do play a very important role in admissions. What we will understand or what we want to share here is what is involved in the entire process, where to get involved, where not to get, or where to take a back seat and, be in um, a questioning mode and where to guide this student at a more engaged level. So before we go into the topic, we want to just touch upon what are the pillars of college admissions. So many parents, many students already know what are the key things that are involved in getting admitted to a highly selective college or colleges in general. But for the very few who need to, may not have been very familiar, we will really quickly run through what these topics are and what the parents can do. So, academics, without saying, this is a very important part of a college admissions process. The GPA of student from ninth to 12th grade counts. Colleges do see how the student performed. All your transcripts for these years you need to upload into the application or admissions portal. The rigor of curriculum is important. The level of subjects you take. Have you taken any honor programs? Have you taken any AP tests? Or in IB, if you've been through IB curriculum, have you, which level of subjects you have taken? Is it an HL or an SL? All that matters. I think here parents have an important role identifying how the student is doing, and if there are they can start this very early and see if there is any help needed in any particular subject or topic. They can get involved and support the students in this process. So this is one of the first important pillars. The second one is test scores. Here what we mean test scores is the standardized test scores that most of the students take. SAT is very popular. ACT also, many students take. These are standardized tests that a student has to take to get into most of the colleges in US and also elsewhere in other countries as well. There are other tests. PSAT is a preliminary SAT that student takes in early 11th grade. This is usually done by um, US students. There is something called NMSQT, National Merit Scholar Qualification Tests. If you are a finalist, there is a scholarship that the US government awards. So this is something parents can consider depending on how student has been doing. You can look up what NMSQT is and what kind of scores will be needed to qualify for that scholarship. Um, During COVID and After COVID, most of these standardized tests became optional. Colleges either said they don't need test scores, or it's up to the student to submit it. But what we have seen in the last 2 or 3 years, that colleges have now again started making SAT, or I mean standardized test, mandatory. So here, when we say optional, the student can submit scores. If the score they have is, we feel is good, I think it will reinforce their application even better. So go ahead and submit. If it is test blind, which means many UCs are test blind, which means you don't need to submit scores because colleges are not going to look at them. So here parents can help strategize with the student of what to do with standardized testing. So yeah, the third pillar is the profile. So beyond academics, student needs to stand out, and one of the ways to do it is through extracurriculars or with the profile. You need to build a good profile, specializing or in sports or music, arts at some competitive level will definitely help you stand out. Doing some leadership, starting some clubs, doing some initiatives in your school and showing some leadership, all that matters. Volunteering, research, internships, these also, if you do those, that reinforce again either your major or the college you are trying to get into, all those will be very positives for your application. The last one is essays. And essays, we always think it as a wild card, because essays can really move the admissions officers and tilt a student towards acceptance. So student really, who are very good in telling their stories of what they have been through and what their life journey has been and how they have transformed and what their learnings are. I think if they can articulate really well, I think essays can be a big positive for their application. There are a lot of essays. Students have to write a lot of essays. Depending on the number of colleges they apply, they may have to write anywhere between 12 to 15, or sometimes even more essays. Letter of recommendations are important. Your teachers write these, and you pick the right teachers so that good letter of recommendations go to the colleges. And yeah, again, for profile and essays, I think parents can step in and provide a good support towards a student's college admissions. So now we will try to split the parents' role as to where you can step in more and put more emphasis, and where you can step back and take kind of a backseat role. So profile building, I think, for parents can take a you know uh, a very active role. When your student is good in music or sports, or and encouraging them, taking them to competitions and providing them additional assistance and tutoring, all that could help towards improving the profile. College selection, I think um, um, it's predominantly uh, a student's role. But I think when it comes to tuition costs, I think parents will have to take an important role here. I mean, need to get involved. The cost of tuition is very different. Some colleges are quite low. I mean, very value for the student, and some are very expensive. So parents knowing the cost of attendance in any college is very important, to see this is something that they can afford, and they feel that what the student will receive from that institution is a value. So they can take an active role there. Emotional, physical and emotional well-being, it goes without saying. College admission process is very stressful, rigorous. It prepares the student for college. Lot of deadlines, lot of essays have to be written. Will all will have to come together at the same time. For anybody, it could be stressful, and a good parent support and here will go a long way. Planning and scheduling campus visits. I think for students, domestic students, where if your college is within your country, it's easier to do. You can plan for a visit. You can make yourself visible in the college visit. And admissions officers usually like students visiting, which shows that the student had an interest coming to know the college more. So it can help in getting an acceptance. If required, do application reviews and letter of recommendation just for the sake of proofreading, just to ensure everything is in line. And there is also a role in strategizing an early decision. So early decision, for folks who don't know, is a process where the student gets to apply to one college. Not all colleges offer early decision. Usually the top colleges offer early decision. It's an opportunity to tell the college that if you admit me, I'm going to join you nowhere else, which is good. It improves the chances for the student. But then there is a catch. You have to withdraw your application. If you are accepted, you have to withdraw your application for all other colleges. So it doesn't matter whether you would have gotten accepted with great scholarship elsewhere, you have to make the decision there. So here I think a parent involvement to strategize, what is in our best interest, how do we do it? I think will help. And yeah, these are the places where the parents' involvement is needed and will be very helpful. So where can the parent take a back seat? Just a sec. Choice of major. I think um, it should be the students. Students should have a buy-in in terms of what they want to study. They will be the one who will be spending 4 years in college. They don't want to be sitting in a class which is not exciting or something that is not what they had in mind. So it's very important that you give that choice to the student, or at least the student knows very well into what major they are going to study, what kind of programs, what kind of opportunities to do research, and all that is available to them. And this is something that should excite them. Essays and content and reviews. Here again, it depends on the student. Here some students are very open. They are open to share their essays and do not think it is very personal, but few are feel it is very personal, do not want to share their essays widely. So yeah, I mean, depending on the student's preference, we would say, go by and get involved as much as that is necessary. Um, College selection factors other than financial. For example, I mean, ranking is one thing that sometimes parents could get very excited about. But there are many other things that the student may be looking at: the programs, the environment, what the college has to offer, the opportunities, the culture. I mean, there are many things they might be paying attention to. So this is also something, you may want to give some freedom and decision making on the student part. Choosing teachers for letter of recommendation. Yes, the student knows the teachers better and they know who will write a better recommendation. Decisions to make additional attempts to improve test scores. I mean, we have a case study in the very next slide. I will walk through why sometimes, allowing the student to make that decision is a better option. Picking the college from the acceptance list. Generally, students get accepted into more than one college. They may have five, six. Some may have even more. Then making that eventual choice of where to actually enroll, we believe it should be left to the student, because they probably are in a better position to pick and decide on the institution. So yeah, overall, this is these are the key things where we would suggest to take a back seat. Um, Next slide. So a case study, a simple case study where we the situation is this. A student pushed the parent pushed the student to repeat test, SAT in this case, even after three attempts. So the student was strong in academics, scores 1500, has done three attempts. It's been around the ballpark, not improved very much, but they feel the student can do 1550 plus. Because yes, I think they have very good reasons to believe that. Um, but at what point do you stop, right? And this is where we saw that the student was making an attempt very late in the cycle. Already ED applications had gone, E applications were ready to go out, and then still attempting, another cycle to do SAT, and that was just could have helped only with the regular decision. So anyway, did it help the students? No, it did not. Student did go through the test cycle. The scores, continued to be the same. It neither improved the score nor the super scores. So it's just the student ended up losing time in putting together more compelling essays. We just added a little more work for the student, and the personal statement probably could have had even better, more number of reviews with the essays could have helped. So here, what we would suggest in terms of test scores is they are important, but not they are not the only criteria for admissions officers, right? There are many other criteria, as we said, and some colleges are test blind, like UCs are test blind. You don't even have to think of doing SAT if you're applying there. Many are test optional. You can strategize whether to send or not. You can also adjust your college list. So you can pick colleges where whatever score you have, you will be in the 90th percentile or 75th percentile or even more. You can do that. Or you talk to your student and understand their plan. I mean, if the student is, wanting to do and already has enough bandwidth to do everything that he needs to do, then uh, you know this is uh, something. Yeah, work with the student and then only make a decision. Ensure the student has sufficient time to meet academic assessments like midterms and mock exams. I mean, all this will come in the mix. So while you are looking at SAT, I mean, generally because it's a number, it just makes people think that, oh, I can improve, and we can make the number look really good. But yeah, that's not the only thing, and there are other things to focus as well. So we'll go to the next uh, slide here. Before we go into another case study, we will look at what is an effective communication for between parent and student. The student may be very inclined, actually, this happens in most cases, that they want to chart their own way. The high school prepares them for that, and we feel that is healthy, they taking the decisions. In fact, if the student is not taking ownership, that is probably a concern, and wanting the parent to make all decisions, that is a concern, because this process is supposed to make the student independent and be on their own in college, driving themselves every day to achieve what they have to, right? So I think their inclination and their intuition here is very healthy. It doesn't mean they are rejecting the parent. It just means that they feel more in control and feel very confident, and it's a very positive thing. So again, peers, social media, they all compete for the voice, your voice, and here patience and willingness to listen will matter a lot. Deadlines create real anxiety. I mean, this is very true. There are a lot of deadlines, many things happening in parallel. And yeah, recognize stress early with the student, support your student to handle this through. I mean, some just go through, they're very motivated, driven, and they may be stressful, they may not show and go through, but wherever you see that there is stress, just step in and communicate and help the student handle through it. Attaching love to a particular college, saying, this is where you need to get into, this is the major you have to study. It's all great, but then, you know, it could be very sometimes intimidating for the student, and sometimes, they may not even be positive towards the parents' proposal. Lead with questions, not opinions. I mean, I think we all, this is all general parenting, nothing too very specific to admissions, but yeah, I think, especially during this period when it is stressful, I think, having that questioning mode helps a lot. Yeah, I mean, as a parent, you are the decision maker, but when it comes to college admissions, you become a trusted advisor and not a decision maker, and which is a very good role. And we believe a student decision maker is the best decision maker. Counselors, yeah, isn't a replacement for parents, no matter what. I mean, they just are a neutral ground here and can help in keeping deadlines, keeping student on track, and working through a lot of things. If the parents are busy, student counselor steps in and fills that gap. So this is about the communication part. We have another case study. So this is a case study. I will let my colleague Rajesh to talk through. Yeah, go ahead, Rajesh. Share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, thank you, Nanda. Hello, everyone. Um, so in this case study, we're going to look at how when a parent's best intentions could actually sort of come in the way of a student's application process. Let's take the situation. There's a strong student who has very impressive extracurriculars. A parent, set of parents who know exactly how to tell a compelling story because they've been in corporate for 2 decades or more. So what a parent ends up doing, and in a recent poll that just concluded, I saw about 20-25% of the parents, guardians have said that they are in the driving seat. So the parent, not necessarily you, but there have been parents who help write the initial draft of the essay, and the essay is great. It's well structured, polished, persuasive. But unfortunately, the admissions officers, know it instantly when they look at the essays, because it sounds more like a corporate jargon, filled with corporate jargon, and looks reflects sort of a LinkedIn profile. So in that particular instance, how did it not help the student? Um, the essay or the personal statement had become more like a brag sheet, and as I said, with a corporate voice. Every achievement was listed, awards were listed, but the student's actual voice, their doubt, their inflection point where an incident or an interaction changed how they perceived life, or anything that they had preconceived notion, that was missing, right? So that's why in that particular instance, it really did not help the student. So admissions officers at selective colleges, really, they have a lot of workload, as you can imagine. They read thousands of essays. They're not necessarily always looking for the most impressive student in terms of checking off every single box there is, but looking for more authenticity. They're looking for the most real one. So with that in mind, what can you as parents do in order to help your student through the essays? You can proofread them. If you can't hear your student's voice in what they've written, you can certainly help them rewrite it. Um, but the best essays really should come from the student themselves. You can ask some questions saying, do you think the two paragraphs are sort of have a continuity? Do you think some structure can be added where you make that remark, which is an extent one, maybe upfront to draw the attention of the admissions officers. Those are all great conversations. Those are all very constructive conversations, right? Then comes the specificity, right? You can talk about very specific. You can encourage your student to talk about very specific, sort of call outs rather than something that's just generic. Many students say that I learned leadership when I was coaching at the YMCA, when I was a lifeguard. Great, but something more would be good. Which, in this instance, and if an example, the moment a student realized that he'd been wrong about a teammate on the team, or how in a particular instance that in a setup where it was a team event, one of the teammates had to suddenly they have had an emergency and had to take off, and how that shaped what the student did. So these are kinds of examples that you can draw upon. Last but not least, your job is really to ask questions. Um, you know, it comes even before the actual applications, through the summer, even maybe even earlier, to say, with the last few years, what do you think are some moments that really changed your outlook? And they can use that to construct in their own mind, even if they're not actually putting pen on paper, to unlock those. You can write down those in some form of flashcards, so that when the time comes, they're not really sitting and thinking. They're just using these flashcards to actually write their essay. So these are some of the best practices. With that said, I'll turn it back to Nanda for the rest of the presentation. Nanda?
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. So yeah, let's continue. We have one more case study. This is the last one. Then we should be concluding. So this is a positive one, and we want to show how a motivated parent really gets what they were looking for, right? The situation is this: the parents need to send two kids. They have twins. Both of them need to go college at the same time, and both the student are very strong in academics, good test scores. I won't say great. Looking forward, and both of them, both students, looking forward to attend very selective colleges. This is a very good problem for parent to have. But the thing is, they need to pay for both a full cost of attendance. And they come to us and we speak to them. And, that's how we got to work with this family. And we noticed one of the student, extracurriculars for one student is a great standout, plays a musical instrument at a very competitive level. For the parents, the affordability was a concern. Reducing cost of tuition was a major requirement. How do we do it? They already had counselors. They already had all their college list and everything going and doing it. And how the parents worked, supported their cause. One is the intent. I think they were very clear what they wanted to do. So the we brought in the parents' focus into applying for more private colleges with scholarship potential, applying and going through FAFSA CSS applications diligently. And between the two students, we probably applied to 50 colleges. A lot of work, but they sat through all the portals, filling that information, providing all the necessary documentation, staying ahead of deadlines, and all that. And how did it help the family? Both the students got into top 30 ranked colleges in the US. Both were top, probably, 20, 25-ish rank, and both with scholarships, which is great. And one of them got a full ride scholarship at a very selective private college. And the one that was playing the musical instrument, I think, really got in a good scholarship. Parents didn't have to pay anything. And finally, the family really achieved their goal of reducing cost of attendance. So, so yeah, I mean, we really fortunate and to be part of this process and helping them through this process. So just to say that sometimes the level of involvement, something like this, really helps the family. I mean, there have been cases when parents do not or not involved or not focused on something like this. But when they do, I think the results show. I'm not promising that every parent will have a very similar result, but Yeah, this is to show that how a parent positively influenced their kids going to college. So that was our last slide. So we just want to, show that, we're conducting a workshop in June. This is an essay workshop where students can join and, attend Zoom online sessions. So there are essays that the counselor, Mari here is our counselor, she conducts this workshop. A lot of probing. It's especially an exercise to make the student stories to come out. Students need to tell their story. They probably are not even thinking about it. The essay is about to make them think about their stories. When they see which essays have worked, and they see a lot of essays that have done well, and they see how the students have brought out their stories, and then they also start thinking about their own story, and then once they go through this process, very good essays come out. So this is an opportunity. We will send out details for registration soon, and watch out for that in your email. So finally, we are in the last slide, QA. There are ways to get in touch with us. Yeah, there's no obligation. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. We will spend 15-20 minutes with you, and we will answer through whatever questions you may have. And yeah, looking forward to your questions. We will give you a couple of more minutes to type in your questions. And as they come in, we will try to answer them.
Okay, there are couple of questions already submitted.
Answer? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see
we
one
got answered
question.
once, but we can read those for the rest of the attendees also, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can do that. What was the question? And read through
Okay,
it.
so the first question was, how do colleges in the UK, Europe, or Singapore approach profile building for applicants? In what other ways does this differ from the approach taken by US colleges? So profile building. So one easy way to see it is like the type of which Rajesh already mentioned is the personal statement. So with UK and Europe and this one, it's one personal statement. It is mainly geared towards why major. Why do you want to do this major? So your story will behind start from your seed and then how you have explored this major throughout all your profile building you've done, and then eventually now decided that yes, this is the major I want to pursue. So that's so your profile will more lean towards that. In case of US, of course, they do want to see many more things, not just your Y major. What's your leadership like? What's your volunteering like? What do you believe in? Who are you as a person? So there are many things that they look at. So, and that can be explored through many things outside of classroom, outside of your major. So that's why your music, arts, research, everything comes into the picture. So that's why your profile building will be even more a bigger scope for US colleges. So I hope we have answered that question with that. Anybody else wants to add something to it?
I think it's good. Yeah, that's good. So I do see that one more question is coming. Yeah, go ahead. Finish.
Okay, the second question they have asked is, how do colleges outside the US, those in Europe and Singapore, view tests like the SAT or AMC? So again, as we said, for the other Europe or Singapore, they are more lean towards your profile. Why major? Why do you want to do this major? What do you want to do after this major? How do you want to contribute to the society after you graduate? So SAT, again, coming back to SAT, a SAT is a test which is administered by College Board, which is in US organization. So it's more popular in US compared to Europe or Singapore. So but if you have taken, you are applying to US colleges and Europe and Singapore. If you've already taken SAT, it's very strong. Think about it as a test optional in US colleges. If it's strong, it's going to add to your profile showing that if you're going for engineering, your math score will be very good. If you're an international student, your English will show up. If you are taking from a curriculum which is not recognized by colleges there, for example, maybe you're homeschooled or you're coming from a state syllabus or syllabus that the you colleges are not very familiar with, maybe then SAT will be a stronger one to send to these colleges. So think about it from your profile. How do you assess it and then send it? So if you have taken it and it's strong and the colleges would like to hear about it, please do share.
Okay. So we have one question. My daughter is in 10th grade and we feel we're already behind. And when we see other parents and students talk about SAT preparation and summer programs, how and what we can do to catch up. So Rajesh, is this something you want to take or?
Yeah, I can take that, Nanda. That's a great question. I mean, nobody is behind. Don't let anyone tell you that your student is behind. I think that's one of the things that we see with many parents, many families that we coach. Um, either they think they're too early, so they have better prospects, or that they're late and therefore they cannot get to the top choice colleges. Everything depends, right? It's the application process for the US colleges. Is a journey that starts maybe at the end of in middle school itself, definitely in the early high school. So don't let anyone tell you that your daughter or son is behind the eight ball. Having said that, there are a few things, right? Definitely the focus should be on academics to get the right GPA, to make it a compelling application. Activities, right? What kind of activities is your student engaged in? And you see a cohesiveness between what they are doing as activity and what they intend to do for in college. Are there activities that they are leaning heavily towards or overdoing, so to speak? And how would you, as parent, perhaps coach them to kind of have a more broader outlook of activities rather than put all the eggs in one basket, so to speak? So those are the kinds of things I would really look at. And then you might want to look at the SAT preparation, or just look at what SATs or ACTs, as Nanda and Mari were mentioning, to what does it entail, right? Maybe have them take a diagnostic test just to make sure that what kind of competitive, or what kind of uh, scores that they can gather in the diagnostic. Are there areas that they need more coaching? In which case, we may have to want to have a prep session, that to engage in the summer itself. So those are the kinds of things you would want to calibrate your student. So certainly, it's a great question, but again, it's different, for each student and family. So I've never let anyone tell you that you're behind the eight ball as far as college application goes. We have had success from students who have started at seventh, eighth grade. We've had success for students who started as late as the 11th grade, even in this latter half of their 11th grade. So definitely, nothing is too early and nothing is too late, but the timing is definitely useful. You would say the Goldilocks time, the time that is appropriate should be somewhere around the 10th grade. That's what we feel as counselors. But again, it depends on many factors. Back to you, Nanda.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. One more question has come. Maybe what are specific things a counselor can help with? Are there different levels of engagement based on need? Yeah, so first to answer, are there different levels of engagement? Yes, yeah, we can, depending on what the student needs and what the requirements from parents are, we can engage at different level. And specific things, whatever we listed as the four pillars of college admissions, I think our counselors will do all four. We also help the financial aspect. This is also something we specialize in, and we help parents with the financial aspects as well. So yeah, feel free to talk to us. Just 15 minutes. And if you have any specific questions in terms of what you are looking for specifically, or just send an email to us, we will be able to answer your specific requirements.
I would
Okay.
like to add here that what kind of it depends on what kind of package you are enrolling for. That is one thing, and the time frame you are joining in, like how much time we have. Like if you are joining almost at the end of college application, even if we want, we cannot engage in profile building and other things. So it becomes more on a essay and application and college list. So yeah, that it depends on these kind of package you are opting and how much time you have in the journey. I think
Okay. Any other questions?
see any.
All right. I think we are concluding the webinar. Again, thanks for taking time on a Sunday to come and join us in this webinar. Really appreciate. Yeah, feel free to reach out to us if you have any specific questions. We will be more than happy to answer those. Okay. You have a good rest of the Sunday, and hopefully, you will join us in our next webinar sometime soon. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.